You have been lied to about learning German. I'm probably going to make a lot of people angry with this video, but this needs to be said. And after literally teaching thousands of students German through my courses, I've seen the same stories and struggles again and again. Students who wasted months of their lives and their hard-earned money because of lies that the language learning industry told them. And the painful truth is this: many people are not really learning German. They are doing things that feel like learning German. And that's a very big difference. So one of the biggest lies in language learning is that you can become fluent mostly through passive exposure. Just watch German Netflix, just listen to German podcasts, just put German videos in your background for hours and hours. Just immerse yourself and eventually your brain will figure it out. And honestly, I understand why this idea is so popular. It sounds amazing because it sounds easy. You don't have to struggle. You don't have to repeat sentences out loud. And you don't have to make mistakes. You can just sit there, consume content, and tell yourself that you're actually learning. But this is completely misleading. And from my experience, this is also where I think a lot of German learning content on the internet becomes almost dangerous. So let me explain the mechanism behind this. Social media platforms reward videos that people keep watching, and content creators know this. So they make more videos about German grammar, learning hacks, vocabulary, and how to learn German faster. You understand the explanation, but you cannot use the sentence. You know what you should do, but you're still confused about what to actually practice today. And I also feel a responsibility here as well, because I've also made videos about learning German, and some of these videos have reached hundreds of thousands, sometimes even millions of people. And I genuinely want to help, but I also know that watching videos about German is not the same as actually studying German. For example, you can watch fitness videos every single day and still build zero muscle. You can watch someone play guitar for years and years and still not be able to play a single song. So at some point the brain needs to stop only recognizing German and start producing German. And this is where most learners get stuck and also give up. Now the next lie is that language apps are going to make you fluent. And this one is dangerous because apps nowadays are extremely good at making you feel productive. You can open an app, complete a lesson, get points, keep your streak, and the app celebrates you with cute confetti. And these apps have been engineered to make you addicted to them. The goal is to keep you on them as long as possible. And this is how they make their money. Now, to be fair, apps can be useful in the beginning. If you know absolutely nothing, they can help you start. But the problem starts when people confuse app progress with real language progress. You can prove me wrong, but to this day, I haven't met a single person who got fluent or learned a language properly through Duolingo. And many people are now waking up to this reality. They feel productive, but they're not making actual progress. Your German level is not measured by your streak. Your German level is measured by what you can do when there is no app, no hint, no translation button, or no multiple choice answer. Can you introduce yourself? Can you tell a doctor what symptoms you have? Can you write an email to your landlord? That is German, and not clicking the correct word bubble. Real progress is more uncomfortable because it exposes your weaknesses, and apps often protect you from that discomfort, which is exactly why they're not enough. One more lie is that grammar is not important. And this is especially dangerous with German, because German is a language where grammar matters a lot. You cannot throw words together and hope for the best. And I know what many people think: grammar is boring. Yes, it absolutely is. But do you know what's even more annoying? Studying German for 2 years and still not understanding why every sentence looks different. I've heard these stories hundreds of times so far in my community. Now the truth is, grammar is not there to torture you, even if it sometimes feels like it. Grammar is the system behind the language, and if you ignore grammar, German becomes a guessing game. You see der, die, das, den, dem, einen, einem, einer, and everything feels random. Now this doesn't mean you need to become a grammar professor. You don't need to memorize every tiny exception before you start speaking, but you need enough grammar to understand how German sentences are built. So don't skip it, but build a good foundation first, especially on the lower levels. I know that students like to skip grammar on A1 or A2 because they don't think it's necessary. And maybe that works for a while, but it's going to get a real problem on the higher levels. I think every person who has learned a language before knows that there are no shortcuts. Now let's talk about resources. Most German learners don't have a problem finding resources. They have a resource addiction. They have 5 apps, 3 YouTube playlists, 2 grammar books, 10 saved PDFs from different teachers, and a folder full of useful German resources, and they barely use them. And what happens is every single time they're stuck, they search for something new, a better app, a better YouTube channel, a better PDF, or a completely different method. It's like being in a relationship and changing partners every time something gets hard. Maybe the problem is not always the partner. Maybe you never stayed long enough to actually work through the difficult part. And German learning is quite similar. Most of the time you don't need more resources. You need to actually follow one clear path. People tend to spend more time preparing to learn German than actually learning German. And they organize, they download, they compare, they save, they plan, they watch videos on how to study. But German doesn't improve because you collected resources. German improves when you use it consistently. And one clear structure is better than 20 random resources, even though it might feel productive. And this is where free resources can become confusing. Not because they are bad, but because they're often random. Different teachers explain things differently, topics appear in the wrong order, and you also lose sight of what actually matters right now. Sometimes investing in one proper resource with a clear structure saves more time than collecting endless free materials. Even though it's free, you're actually paying with your time. What many students don't realize is that the German language builds on itself. So the A1 level is the foundation, then comes A2, B1 and B2 and so on. And for each level you need the knowledge from the level before. And you cannot just skip a level and be fine. If your foundation is weak, everything becomes unstable later. And this is why many students think they have completed A1, A2 or even B1, but in reality they only rushed through the material. And it is normal that language learning takes months and sometimes years. It's like a marathon and not a sprint. And also don't get fooled by people out there telling you can get fluent in 2 months, with their special secret method. Trust me, there is no special secret method. Now, one more painful realization that many students have too late is that understanding German and actually using German are not the same skill. You can understand a sentence when you hear it and still not be able to use the sentence yourself. And this is why many students feel confused. They watch a lesson and think, yes, I understand this. But when they need to do something similar by themselves, they struggle. And that happens because recognition is way easier than production. When you read or hear German, the sentence is already there. But when you use the language, your brain has to create the sentence from scratch, and that is much harder. And the only way to close this gap is through active practice. Don't wait until your German is perfect, because confidence comes from using the language and not from avoiding mistakes. And this is exactly why I built my German courses the way I did. They're not built around fake dopamine, random hacks or endless streaks. Thousands of students have already used these courses to learn German and prepare for their exams. So if you're serious about learning German, I also put the links to the courses in the video description. Now, the uncomfortable truth is this: German requires effort. Not grinding 10 hours per day and memorizing endless grammar tables. But I'm pretty sure you were sold a version of language learning that sounds easy and feels productive, but doesn't prepare you for real life. You don't learn German through magic or a secret method. You learn it through clear structure, active practice, and using it consistently over many months. And I know it's not as attractive as saying just watch Netflix and become fluent, but it is much more honest. So stop looking for the easiest method or the next language hack. Look for the method that actually makes you better, that is sustainable, and most importantly, trustworthy. With that said, love you and stay focused.